Have you ever met someone who gave so much, even when they had almost nothing? In a small, forgotten town, tucked between dusty roads and fading skies, there lived a man named Daniel. He wasn't rich. He didn't own land. His house was barely standing, with a tin roof that groaned in the wind. But Daniel, he had a heart that gave without counting. Every day, he worked long hours at the edge of town, clearing weeds and hauling water for neighbors just to earn a few coins. His clothes were worn, his shoes had holes, but his soul, it was whole, solid. Daniel had a quiet habit, helping anyone in need. A stray dog wandered too close, he'd share his only bread. A lost traveler asked for direction. Daniel would walk miles just to guide them. But this wasn't a fairy tale, and not everyone appreciated it. His wife, Rachel, often sat on the porch shaking her head. "Daniel," she'd sigh, "our cupboard's empty, our pockets are empty. Can you stop giving everything away?" But Daniel would smile, tired but warm, and say, "A hungry stomach isn't something you ignore, Rachel. If we can help, why shouldn't we?" One afternoon, just as a storm rolled in, someone knocked on their door. It wasn't a neighbor, it wasn't a friend. It was an old man, weathered, fragile, his hands trembling. His clothes were soaked, his voice cracked from exhaustion. Rachel peeked from the window and muttered, "Just what we needed, another mouth to feed." Daniel didn't respond. He opened the door, and his eyes softened. "Come in, sir," he said. "Sit. You look like you've walked forever." The old man sat down slowly, his breath shallow. "I haven't eaten in 2 days," he whispered. Daniel's heart sank. He turned to Rachel. "Do we have anything left?" Rachel's voice was sharp. "Only 2 slices of bread. Yours. For dinner." Daniel paused for a second. Then I walked to the kitchen, picked up the bread, and returned. Rachel followed him, angry. "What are you doing, Daniel? You've worked all day. If you give him that, what will you eat?" Daniel looked at her, calm and quiet. "If I don't eat tonight, I'll survive. But if he doesn't, I'm not sure he will." Rachel turned away, frustrated. The old man had heard everything, but he said nothing. Daniel placed the bread gently in front of him. "Please, sir. It's not much, but it's the best we have." The old man stared at him. Then, slowly, he ate, bite by bite, with tears in his eyes. When he finished, he stood up, reached into his worn-out bag, and pulled out a small golden bowl. It shimmered faintly in the dying light. "Take this," he said. Daniel stepped back, surprised. "No, sir, I can't. I don't give to receive." The old man smiled. "A week ago, a wealthy man gave me this in gratitude, but I have no use for gold. I've been walking for days, looking for someone worthy of it." He placed it in Daniel's hands. "This is for your kindness, your sacrifice. Not many give when they have so little." Then he added something strange. "Use it wisely, but don't let it change you. This bowl is just metal. Your heart, that's the treasure." And before Daniel could say another word, the man walked into the storm and vanished. Rachel stood in silence, staring at the bowl, then at Daniel. They never saw that old man again, but the bowl stayed. From that day on, Daniel and Rachel's life began to change, not in riches or luxury, but in quiet miracles. Unexpected work came. They never missed a meal again. Strangers started showing up at their door, not to beg, but to thank him for something he'd done in the past. That golden bowl, it sat quietly on their shelf, not as a reward, but as a reminder. Because the real gold wasn't in the bowl, it was in the choice Daniel made. The choice to give, even when no one was looking, even when it cost him everything. True kindness doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It gives when it's hardest. It sacrifices when no one notices. And in the end, the universe always remembers. You may not see the return instantly, but when it comes, it'll be worth more than gold. Always choose goodness. especially when it's not easy.